Hi everybody, Leslie here, back in my craft lab, and today I've got a really simple technique using something that most people who've been crafting for any amount of time have got, and that's something to do with your embossing folders. I'm sure some of you know that you can do this, but you can make your own embossing folder diffusers. So hopefully you can see that this is embossed with a lovely heart shape, and I've got a bit carried away, I'll be honest. So this is all using the same embossing folder. There's kind of star shapes on that one. The circle worked really well. The circle, there you go, on the silver, and that was just with a bit less pressure, so it's a bit more subtle. That was all with this embossing folder, which came with Creative Stamping 131, and this is the stamp set that came with it. So this is a Stamps by Me stamp set. So this is the one that's out at the moment. If you've been watching my more recent videos where I've been making all the lovely window cards, so all these lovely window cards where I showed you how to get perfect spacing just using single dies on all these, you might have had a go at some of these yourself, and you will realise that, of course, all these little apertures that we cut out, we're going to end up with loads of these little shapes. I'll link that so you can see where they were all made. But I've ended up with loads of things like this. So all these little star cutouts, little squares, all the little rectangles, circles, hearts. I was trying to come up with a way to use all these little bits and pieces, or if you've just got a box full of scraps, you can always either punch or die cut your own shapes out so that you can make your own diffuser. So the way this works, I thought I'd show you with a smaller circle because I happen to have them. Doesn't matter what thickness of card, what style of card you've got, you just want all the same shape. And then all I did is literally start gluing them together. So not rocket science, and I'll be honest, you don't need a lot of glue. It doesn't need to go really well to the edges or anything. Just literally start gluing your shapes together. And what you're aiming for is something that's about the same thickness as the plate in your cutting machine. This is my top plate for my die cut machine, and I need to keep building these up until this is roughly the same thickness. So I'm just going to keep going and do that. This is roughly the same thickness as one of my plates. I've just got my really old Big Shot, nothing fancy, and I've got my multi-purpose platform. So if you've got a die cut machine with different shims, you'll have to have a play with it, obviously. Just put your card into your embossing folder as you normally would, and then whatever sandwich you would usually use for your embossing folder, you need to leave out one plate that's the same thickness as your diffuser. So if I want this on my full panel and I want it in the middle, I found the best way to make sure it's where you want it on your piece of paper, your card, whatever, is literally just tape it to your folder. Just a piece of washi tape. So I'm just going to take this and run it through my embossing machine. So all I did was take out, normally this embossing folder would go through with 2 plates on this platform. All I did was take one plate away because this is the same thickness as one plate. And there we go. We've got our little circle embossed on our panel. This is white core card, so if there's a little bit of white showing through, it's just because the white core is coming through. It's not solid cardstock. That's how you make your own little diffusers. I got a little bit carried away. This is my craft lab after all, so I did a few experiments. So I pulled out loads of different embossing folders to see what worked well and what didn't work so well. And I'll show you the diffusers that I've already made. So I've done rectangle, I've done star shape, I've done this one, which is a scalloped heart, and it was only a scalloped heart because that was what I'd used on those cards. This is the bigger circle, and these have been backwards and forwards through my embossing machine quite a number of times, and this is why you don't need to worry about putting masses of glue on, because by the time they've been through several times, they're really stiff, solid. This was with this is a Crafts 2 embossing folder. I would say what you want to look for is on your embossing folders is something that's got pattern that's quite close together. So this one's all little stars, and I tried it with the star, and the star on this one didn't give the best outline, but I think you can see reasonably well. And this is on Adorable Scorable, which is the stretchy ink, so it's white on one side. That was with this size circle, so that worked pretty well, but it has sort of wrinkled it a little bit on the edges. This one is just a swirl. I think this embossing folder is one of the ones that I've had for the absolute longest. I don't know what brand it is, but it's just, hopefully you can see it swirls all over it, and it's quite a thin one. It's not a really thick embossing folder. But look how well that came out with the circle. So that's on Miri card, obviously. And just to check it wasn't a fluke with the Miri card, this is just the 200 GSM. Again, it's white core, which is why you can see a bit of the white showing through, but that works so well. This one's Hobbycraft Snow, and I did that with the rectangle. It says it's snow, but it's just sort of irregular dots. So that worked really well. This one's called Japanese Dreams, and it came with creative stamping. It's this lovely wave effect. But look how amazing this came out. Now this one, I actually sprayed it with just on the back with some water before I did it. So it actually gave a really deep emboss, and it didn't break the cardstock so much because this is only 200 GSM and it's not high quality cardstock. But hopefully you can see I sprayed this one before I did it. But in actual fact, it didn't make a lot of difference to the wrinkling on the edges, so I don't think it made that much difference. It perhaps didn't crack the cardstock so much, so there's not as much of the white showing through, but I think on the waves the white showing through is actually quite good. This one is actually a solid one, but it looks really good on the debossed side. So that's the debossed side rather than the embossed side, and it looks amazing. So hopefully you can see. I got carried away, and then so that was all with the circle, and then that's with the square, and again I think that looks amazing on there. This is a Craft Concepts. This is one again I've had for years. This is More Dots, this one's called. So this is just little dots all over, and that one was obviously with my rectangle one. This is a Crafter's Companion. It came with one of the Crafter's Companion magazines, the Inspirations magazines, and it's just called Herringbone. The top one's actually debossed, and this bottom one is actually embossed. That gave a really cool effect, the way the light catches it differently. I'm hoping you can see that. This one was Embossalicious. This is obviously just like a chevrons one. And again, with the square, the rectangle, that worked really well. But I think this one would work really well with the circle as well. This is another one that came with the Crafter's Companion magazine, but it was Sheena Douglas, Fabulous Florals. And that worked really quite well with the circle. So again, just any embossing folder you've got with a pattern that's got a pattern all over. That was actually with the scalloped heart. And I was surprised that the scalloped heart, none of the scallops show on it, even though it's got the scallops around the edge. It's just caught the top of the embossing folder a little bit as well. But the heart shape did come out, and it worked quite well with that one. I have a feeling this is a Do Crafts one, but this is just got kind of like little paint splattery dots all over. And hopefully you can see that worked quite well with the heart as well. I think this one would work with any of the shapes, because it's just a tiny pattern all over. And now this is a Do Crafts one that I've had for years, and this one's obviously like a knit. By the way, these are all 2D embossing folders. None of these are 3D yet. Look, that came out amazingly with the circle. Really, it's quite a crisp edge. I was surprised how crisp the edge was on it. And it looked really good debossed as well. So I thought it was just a different way to use all these pattern background. This one is an old Craftworks Cards Fairyland one, and again it's just a small pattern all over. and I was just playing by this point. So with the circle up here, with the rectangle, so that's just a circle on the middle. I'm going to show you the things that didn't work particularly well. This is one of my newest ones. This is Spellbinder's Tile Mosaic, and this is a 3D embossing folder. So it's one of their 5x7 3D embossing folders. I was trying to get it, and because it shows up well on the silver, I thought I'd try and get it onto the silver. Now that was with the heart, and it didn't work so well. That was the circle, and can you see it kind of embossed it everywhere. Now I did play with different sandwiches. Again, this was, I think, with the circle, so it got the circle, but it kind of still embossed the rest of the card as well. And then I went to try and go even shallower on this one, but it didn't work so well. So I'm not sure about at least the thicker 3D embossing folders, with one exception. The exception that I found worked quite well is these ones that aren't a pattern all over. So this is the Stamps by Me White Rose 3D embossing folder. So this is a Stamps by Me one, but I think it's quite similar to, say, like the Ulta New ones. So that's what it looks like if you do the whole thing. So you can see it. That's a really nice 3D embossing. And I thought, well, what if I just wanted this bit? So that was what I went for. So I did this with the circle embossing folder. So it's faintly got the bits that were around it. But I still think if you just want something on the background, but you don't want the whole thing, that worked quite well. And just to show it there on the pink, again, this is, yeah, this one's got a white core. So the white shown is because the card's got a white core. So again, I left it in the same place, and that was on that one. Oh, and that's it actually on the same white core card. So without using a sort of embossing diffuser, it's the white shows through. So that's the card rather than the technique. On this one with the stretchy ink on the hunky dory, it worked really well. I think that's something worth having a play with. I'm going to take some of these panels and make some cards up and hopefully show you what I come up with. So I've managed to make about 22 cards in total. I've used pretty much all of the panels I created. Now, I filmed it all, but I don't think it's that interesting to watch in real time. So if you'd like me to, I'll do a quick edit of it, kind of sped up to music or something, and I'll pop that up. So please comment if you would like me to do that. But for now, I'm just actually going to go ahead and show you pretty much what I did with each panel. So all I did was grabbed all the things that I had in my bits box, some card blanks, and I started putting things together. I made a little 4-inch card, chopped my panel down. It says be your own kind of beautiful. I think that's from an Ulta New stamp set. Exactly the same idea. This is that lovely wave one. I've actually put this one upside down so it's debossed. And I've just popped a little with sympathy across, and again it's on a little 4-inch square card. This is that silver one, so this is the current issue of Creative Stamping, so that's from that one. Literally stuck hello in the middle of it and put it on a white card cut down. These three I actually did a little bit of heat embossing on, so I used some white pigment ink to go over them in the shape, and then there is just clear embossing powder. I had all these images stamped and cut out, and I kid you not, if you go back to my really old blog, these were cut out on my scan and cut when I first got it, and I'm going to say 2018. So these have been in my bits box, not coloured in. I have coloured them in today. They've been in there for 6 years because I cut a ton of them out, and I used a ton of them at the time that I was doing different test cuts and doing a review on it. I think I stamped these for my younger daughter when she was about 8, and she will be 16 in about a month's time. So this has probably been in my bits box for about 8 years. And this one was coloured in and this one wasn't. So I coloured this one in. This I must have stamped years and years ago. And I think I stamped about 3 of them and only used 2 of them. So this one's been sitting in my bits box for years and years. Really simply added a couple of greetings. I did a review on the Crafter's Companion Say It With Style. And this is one of those stamps that they stamp a huge loads and loads all at once, and then the die cuts them all, and they're all different shapes and sizes. So I've got loads, I've still got loads left. So that's those ones. And these are some of the Tailored Expression ones that do the same thing. You stamp a load at once and you die cut them all out. So I've got those in little tubs. So I just pulled them all out, and all I did was put a bit of it's Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. The yellow on there happens to be Moonlight, and I just put a little bit in the middle of each flower. This is that Stamps by Me 3D folder, and I just added a You Are So Loved, sending you a big hug, so you could use this for anything. And it's got embossing powder on it, embossing powder. And I did actually put a little bit of just white pigment ink on there. I just rubbed a little bit on and just doodled around the edge. I think these are Alter New stamps, which I stamped and coloured in absolutely ages ago. So this is the one that I made the little diffuser on camera for. So it's just a little tiny circle, but it was perfect just for that little happy birthday. 3 greetings across it. Good for a man. I'm so glad you were born. Happy birthday, hot stuff. And it's your day. Treat yourself. So a bit more sassy, but this is the one where one's embossed and one's debossed. So they're not actually quite the same. So it's quite fun in real life. I'm not sure it picks it up on camera. This was that lovely, it's like a knit texture one. You are simply fabulous. Thank you. Just some little like enamel dots on there. Literally just sticking a greeting on. So again, this is from the State with Style from Crafter's Companion. Happy birthday to you. Another year closer to Velcro shoes, because I quite like the silly sassy. That's the Tailored Expressions one. And then I just added some black gems on there. Again, this was just stick a couple of greetings on. Happy birthday to you. May your day be filled with joy. And I've had these teeny weeny little heart, purple heart gems in my stash. I kid you not. It must be nearly 20 years. I think they're older than my oldest daughter, and she's 18. This is die cut, and it die cuts it out that size. So I just used one of, this is actually the large circle. But you can't really tell once it's underneath all that it's a circular thing. So this is just a really old die. Birthday wishes. I missed a trick. It should have been birthday fishes, I know. And this is Spectrum Noir Sparkle as well. Fisher in Spectrum Noir Sterling Silver. The Sea Breeze is on the weeds, and then the same Moonlight is on the little starfish. Again, these seahorse and shells left over from me doing some cards. I think those cards are actually somewhere on my channel that I would use the seahorse and things for, and they have mermaids and windows, so if you scroll back through you might be able to spot those, and I just really quite like that. Again, that would work for a man's card. I just cut it down to a little 4x4 card, so this is a 4-inch square, just matted it with black and a little with thanks on there, and that's that lovely scroll embossing folder. This one, because I'd gone on to the orange and I wanted to use it, I just found an old sticker. Again, this is from the Crafter's Companion Say It With Style. Hope your day is filled with extra icing. And the little cord that I threaded through, that is literally off clothing tags. It's actually elastic. So the little orange stars in the background. And again, that I think you could give that to a boy or a girl. These are really old, Alter New Lotus layering stamps that I've had stamped for absolutely ages. Again, they've been sat in my bits box for years. I think I stamped a load and didn't use them all. Just using this as something to sort of centre the white space with. Really simple. I just sanded, because this is a white core cardstock, I just sanded off to make the stars a bit clearer. And again, this is the one from the Creative Stamping current edition. Stars were just in my bits box. I think they're left over from me doing spinning puzzle cards. Oh, I did put a bit of white pigment ink just around the edge just to give it something a bit extra. Same idea, just sanded so the circle was a bit clearer. May your birthday be a special celebration. Same thing, Say It With Style, Crafter's Companion. And last but not least is the amazing bit of Mirri card. So this is the, I think it's Hunky Dory Rainbow Mirri. My own embellishments from my bits box, and just a little sending love and hugs. So I encourage you to go and look through what stash you've got. All you need is either leftover die cut shapes, leftover punch shapes, or just go and punch some or die cut some out of your scraps. Doesn't matter what sort of card. All you need is to be able to stack it up to the same thickness as one of your die cutting plates that you would use when you're embossing. And then just go and look through what embossing folders you've got and see what you've got with patterns that are close together. All of these all worked really well. Try it with your 3D embossing folders if you've got some as well. Just because I didn't have success doesn't mean something you've got won't. It actually seemed to work better on the thinner embossing folders than the thicker ones. Hopefully I've given you some inspiration and some ideas to go ahead and have a play with what you've got. Thanks for watching. There might be a little Easter egg in a minute if you keep watching, but thanks for watching, and bye for now. I'll see you again in another video. So I just thought I'd show you. This is what my desk looks like. I've made all of these cards today. So there they all are, piled up on my laptop. There it is, filming. So somebody commented that my CrafterMath was really quite tidy, so I'm just going to do a little pan. I promise my desk was completely tidy when I started today, so it was empty. So as you can see, all this stuff is what sits just out of shot. I can't even get at my big shot anymore. And when I started filming, I was using it to emboss panels. So that's in that direction. So we've got embossing powders and all sorts over there. Pile of cards. And then this way, all these scraps. So yeah. So I thought I'd just give you a little pan round that this is what's just outside of shot that you can't see. So there we go, a little bit of realism. I can't even find my mouse to stop recording. It's buried. There it is. Found it.